Welcome back to the Hardcore EAFC Tactical Channel. In this episode, we'll take a look at the latest cards from Manchester City. First, let's discuss the Scout information. This FTCC Scout lasts 2 weeks and introduces 6 new players. This card pool is a standard premium pool with a 4% chance for 3-star players. SS players have a 0.5% chance of being obtained, which is relatively difficult, while other players have a slightly easier 0.7% chance. As usual, FTCC draw tickets obtained from previous activities and tasks can be used in this FCTT, and draw points accumulated in previous FTCC Scout will carry over. In addition to these 6 new players, Alvarez can be obtained through event competition medals, and 2 more players are available through the season pass. Foden is a free pass reward at level 45, while Nkunku is a premium pass reward at level 35. Both players' level 60 data are inferred from their level 1 data, with minimal error and can be disregarded. First, let's discuss Rúben Dias. This is his second premium version but his first SS card. Dias remains a standard central defender in all versions. His main skill is SS level interception, the first of its kind in the game. However, his interception stat is just over 10k, which is low compared to his tackling and blocking stats, which are close to 12k. This is probably a balancing act, resulting in his interception not being dominant. If his interception stat was around 12k, it would tell a different story. His speed is disappointingly slow at 5.3k, which is unfriendly for a central defender, and his stamina is average. His S trait, anti-FW, is great for a defender, offering a high activation chance. His A-level trait boosts interception skill power, which is essential due to his low basic stat in this area. Dias ranks 3rd in the interception ability leaderboard, which is impressive considering he is the only one with an SS level interception skill. His basic stat distribution, unfortunately, undermines the potential of this high-level skill. In duels against top power and technique attribute passers, Dias's interception isn't reliable, mainly because these passers are midfielders, preventing the activation of his anti-FW trait. Overall, he is still strong. His interception against dribbling is not very dominant, especially against power and technique attribute dribblers. Against slightly weaker speed attribute dribblers, he can be more dominant. Dias ranks 9th in blocking ability and 12th in tackling ability. He can tackle almost all players except power attribute Haaland and technique attribute Odegaard. For SA recommendations, focusing on enhancing blocking and secondary enhancement of tackling and interception is advisable due to his role as a central defender. For trait recommendations, it's best to develop Dias towards domination rather than guessing, given his strong defensive abilities. With limited resources, one duelist can make his defense formidable. For a domination route, giving him the A-level anti-FW can stack with his inherent S trait, making him incredibly strong against forwards. Another effective strategy is combining one duelist with 2 auto-intercepts for a 40% chance of automatic interception, countering map pass offensive strategies. Skill build-wise, having an S-level block is crucial. For tackling, a 215 power tackle from the store suffices. If you have the resources, opt for a 223 power tackle. In summary, despite Dias's balanced design and a somewhat wasted A-level trait, his defensive guessing abilities are among the best in the game. He is more suited for a domination-oriented build than a guessing one. With ample resources, Dias can be overwhelmingly oppressive against forwards. However, his slow speed and low stamina, combined with the necessity of an S-level block, lead to a 4-star rating. Comparing with the previous premium Dias, it's evident that his interception has always been a weak point, but the allocation of attributes is not fixed, as shown by his stronger tackling than blocking in this version. Next, we have Haaland, whose radar chart shows a classic center-forward sheer distribution, consistent with his previous cards. His S-level skill is ground shooting, and his A-level skill is dribbling, a typical combination. His S trait, Penalty Master, is not the best since it doesn't enhance dribbling. His A-level trait slightly increases his ability against tackles, mainly enhancing dribbling, as reflected in the power chart. Haaland's speed is close to 8K, and his defensive abilities are characteristically weak. Haaland ranks 10th in scoring ability, with his low ball power higher than ground shooting due to his very good at low ball trait. His ground shooting ability places him 7th among players with ground shooting skills, almost reaching the level of SS shooters with 260 power skills. In duels against goalkeepers, only the strongest power attribute GKs can block Haaland's shots. Other GKs generally have a power below 35K against his shots. Haaland's dribbling ability, while strong, lacks trait enhancement, making it challenging to dominate. His weaker passing and 1-2 abilities make him vulnerable to strong defenders' tackles, especially against power defenders. For SA recommendations, there are 2 routes, one focusing on dribbling and shooting, and the other on a balanced guessing approach. Choose based on your preference and build route. Trait recommendations are typical. The strongest offensive trait is attacking third, followed by area master. Dribbler level up enhances dribbling, while duelist boosts guessing ability. Skill-wise, S-level dribbling is essential, preferably with high power. S-level passing or 1-2 adds to his guessing ability, with the most cost-effective option being a 215 power pass from the store. In conclusion, Haaland is a typical version of himself, an S shooter with near SS level power, capable of dominating almost all goalkeepers. His dribbling ability is his main tactic, but when countered by attribute or strong tackles, his weaknesses in passing and 1-2 become pronounced. I give him 4 stars, not out of favoritism, but due to his prominent scoring ability, making him a primary striker worth developing. Comparing with other versions of Haaland, the SS shooting version is quite similar in ability and design. The low ball version of Haaland also has top-level scoring ability despite the 235 power S skill and offers more improvement space than ground shooters. His dribbling is slightly stronger, but he can't dominate as easily with dribbling. Essentially, he's a pure low ball shooter and relies on teammates for offensive organization. Next, we have Rodri. His radar chart reveals a balanced distribution between offense and defense, ideal for his CDM and CM positions. His speed is slightly over 5K, which is slow, and this is regrettable. However, his stamina is more than ample at over 1.3K. His S trait, Power Play Lover, isn't particularly useful, especially for a defensive player, as it's too passive and rarely activates. Thankfully, his A-level trait, Duelist, provides a 7% ability boost, saving this card from being lackluster. Rodri's offensive and defensive abilities are average. Let's dive into his dual capabilities. Since Rodri comes with an inherent tackling skill, it's relatively stronger. Without his S trait activated, his tackling power is 38.5K, strong enough to tackle almost all dribblers except for the top 6 speed attribute dribblers. His interception, however, is weaker at 36K, failing to intercept against top speed attribute passers and certain power and technique players. Rodri is best suited for a guessing route, balancing offensive and defensive abilities. The SA recommendations lean towards a more balanced approach or a slight defensive bias, depending on your preference. For trait recommendations, simply equipping Duelist to enhance guessing ability is sufficient. Auto-intercept would be a bonus but is typically prioritized for defenders. Skill-wise, the most critical is S-level interception, available from the store. Passing already has a decent A-level skill, but you can upgrade it if desired. S-level dribbling is more challenging to obtain but important. In summary, Rodri is a pure guessing-type defensive midfielder, decent in both tackling and intercepting, with some capability to initiate attacks. His main drawbacks are his inability to dominate and his slow speed, making him a standard 3-star guessing player. Next is Bernardo Silva, whose radar chart shows strong offensive organization capabilities, with high dribbling and passing stats but weak defense. His main position is CM, and he also fits as RW. His stamina is high at 1323, offering flexibility in positioning. His S skill in dribbling is excellent, and his A-level skill in passing is sufficient, with both skills near 35K power, showcasing his strength. His S trait, Invincible Extension 30%, doesn't increase ability but is quite beneficial, extending invincibility after winning duels and offering tactical advantages. His A-level trait, Boosting Ability Against Interception, is already factored into the data, mainly compensating for his slightly weaker S-Pass compared to S-Tackle. Silva ranks 15th in dribbling ability and 16th in passing ability, indicating strong offensive guessing abilities. Against defenders, Silva struggles to dominate against power attribute tackles and faces challenges against stronger speed and technique players. For SA recommendations, focusing solely on enhancing dribbling and passing abilities is ideal, especially for high-end PvP. For a more casual PvE or auto PvP approach, including shooting in the SA plan is beneficial. Trait-wise, for a CM playmaker role, the best options are Middle Third Master and Anti-MF. If playing as RW, Touchline Master is ideal, followed by Attacking Third. A guessing route is not recommended, as it wastes his offensive capabilities. Skill-wise, Silva's innate S dribbling is a significant advantage, making building easier. For tackling and intercepting, store-bought S-level skills suffice. In conclusion, Silva is an excellent offensive midfielder with strong dribbling and passing abilities. His Invincible Extension trait, unique at the moment, adds significant strategic value. Best used as RW to directly confront defenses, he can effectively break through using his high dribbling and passing abilities. With his S dribbling, he is comfortably a 4-star player. The reason he's not 5-star is due to his dribbling and passing being strong but not outstanding. As a comparison, here's the legendary Ronaldinho, also a technique attribute RW. Ronaldinho has superior offensive abilities, with higher stats in dribbling, passing, and 1-2, making him arguably the strongest RW in the game. Moving on to Jack Grealish, who is similar to Silva but plays as LW. His radar chart shows strong dribbling and passing but weak defense, with slightly better shooting ability. His main position is LW, and his stamina, including the 10% bonus, is adequate. His S trait, Shoot Angle Reduction, is generally not useful in PvP but can help in automated matches. His A-level trait boosts dribbling, complementing his S-level dribbling skill at 34.6k power, similar to Silva's level. Grealish ranks 10th in dribbling ability, closely matching Silva. In duels against defenders, he struggles to dominate against power attribute tackles and has a hard time against stronger speed and technique players. His shooting ability, while not strong, can dominate all speed attribute goalkeepers, but struggles against top technique attribute keepers. His shooting is more effective against weaker technique and power goalkeepers. For SA recommendations, there are 2 approaches, one focusing on dribbling and passing, suitable for high-end PvP, and the other including shooting for more casual play. Trait recommendations depend on his position. Touchline Master is ideal for LW, followed by Attacking Third. For dribbling enhancement, Dribble Level Up is effective. A guessing route with Duelist is also viable. If used for shooting, Attacking Third and Drive Shot King from the store, in combination with his S trait, can enhance shooting from the flanks, although this is more of a niche and entertaining build. Regarding skill build, having an S-level pass and 1-2 is important, especially with high power. For tackling and intercepting, store-bought S-level skills are adequate. Grealish, being inherently strong in dribbling, makes building easier and more comfortable. Summarizing Grealish, he's an LW-oriented playmaker with excellent dribbling ability but slightly weaker passing, reducing his offensive pressure compared to Silva. His additional shooting ability isn't particularly effective. Overall, I rate him as a 3-star player, not quite matching Silva's level. Next is Gvardiol. His primary position is CB, and he can also play as LB. However, his stamina at 1,153 is too low for LB, making him more suited for the central defender role. His main skill is S-level blocking, and both his tackling and blocking stats are high, but his interception is disappointingly low. His S trait, increasing the opponent's incapacitated period after a duel, is barely useful. His A-level trait, Duelist, compensates somewhat for his lack of abilities. Gvardiol's blocking ability is quite vulnerable against technique attribute shooters and top SS speed attribute shooters, but is effective against power attribute players. His tackling ability is more straightforward. He can tackle almost all players except technique attribute dribblers. In terms of interception, he struggles against top speed and technique attribute passers and can only reliably intercept power attribute players. For SA recommendations, the standard blocking central defender plan is advisable. If you wish to strengthen his weak interception, you can opt for the alternative plan. Trait recommendations are similar to other defenders, as discussed during the Rúben Dias segment. Skill-wise, store-bought S-level tackling and interception are sufficient. Upgrading to stronger skills is an option if resources allow. In summary, Gvardiol's S trait is ineffective, and his weak interception is a critical flaw for a defender. His most stable build would involve 3 duelists, making him a standard guessing player without any unique features. I rate him as a 3-star player. The following players are relatively weaker, so I'll cover them briefly. Alvarez, primarily a ST, lacks the qualifications for this role with only 1108 stamina. His main skill, S-level shooting at 30.2k power, is too weak, making him effective only against power attribute goalkeepers. Despite his A-level duelist trait, his offensive and defensive guessing abilities are weak. He's a 2-star player, only worthwhile in event boosts. Foden, playing on the flanks, is better off with 2 touchline master traits. His main skill is shooting, and his A-level trait also enhances shooting, typical for this kind of player. His shooting power at 33.8k isn't very high. He's a standard flank offensive player with average offensive abilities and no defense. For his shooting ability, Foden struggles against speed attribute goalkeepers but can score against power and technique goalkeepers. Still, attribute advantage plays a significant role. Nkunku is another versatile forward, suitable for various formations. His dribbling and shooting are similar to Haaland's level. His A-level trait boosts power against punching goalkeepers, but his S-level shooting at 34.3k is just average. His dribbling is strong, but without trait enhancement, it's only average. He can score against power and speed attribute goalkeepers but struggles against technique goalkeepers. Nkunku's build can follow Haaland's model. In conclusion, he's a diluted version of Haaland, capable of dominating 2 types of goalkeepers but lacking in dribbling domination due to weaker passing and 1-2 skills. I rate him as a 3-star player, slightly weaker overall. To summarize today's new players, top picks include Rúben Dias, a dominant central defender, Haaland, a powerful center-forward shooter, and Silva, a strategic winger with strong breakthrough ability. Others are average but usable, such as Rodri, a pure guessing-type defensive midfielder, JG, an unconventional flank shooter, and Foden and Nkunku, barely satisfactory pass players. Alvarez is a subpar event player. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.